Okay, what is your name?
Carmelo Farfaglia.
And what's today's date?
Today's date?
Yeah.
5.
No.
6. 6/2.
In the year 2001?
2001, yeah,
Okay.
I guess.
Alright. How come no middle name?
No middle name.
Why is that?
I have no idea.
It wasn't a common thing for
It wasn't
Italian?
not a common thing. Italians never had a middle name that I'm aware of. It was very unusual. If they did have middle names, I didn't know it. Okay?
Okay. And how old are you?
78, I guess.
Well, you're not sure?
Well, I'm trying to hold back the calendar. I can't do it.
Okay. What can you tell me about your parents?
Well, I can tell you about them. They're typical old Italians. Right straight from the old country. Sicily. They were immigrants. And I don't know, my father became quite Americanized after being here a while. My mother never quite did. And they both spoke Italian, so when I went to school, that's the only language I understood. So, the only thing I can remember from my childhood, as far as schooling is concerned, is that I left kindergarten, ran down the street, and the teacher chased me down the street. Because apparently I didn't know, I don't know now, but apparently at that time I didn't realize what was going on, so I went home. Because the English was foreign to me. So I spent another year in kindergarten. That's all I remember about first going to public school. That's about it.
Now, they're both from the same village in Sicily?
Yeah, they were with neighbors. They never discussed that very much, so, but they picked up a little bit here and there. I guess they were neighbors. When I went to Sicily, we looked up to where they lived. We seen their home there. But it's not really a home. It was a cluster of buildings, and one door was where they lived. If you can imagine, one straight big building with a bunch of doors on it. And this Italian kid, one of the Farfaglias or Barbagellos, that's related to the Farfaglias. His mother was a Farfaglia. The one that took us down and showed us that place where he was born and where they lived. Okay? Then what?
All right, so my next question here was, how did they meet? But obviously they were neighbors.
They were neighbors. That's right. And that was it.
Okay.
That's the answer for that one. They were neighbors.
Okay. Now, your father came here for the first time in what year?
That is a good question. I really don't know for sure. But it was before World War I. And the only thing I can remember him talking about that was that he was a water boy on the lower bridge when they were building the Erie Canal. And they were building the branch from going to the Swiggle. He worked on the lower docks.
I did not know that.
That's the only thing I can remember about that time.
So he came over here, and that's the first thing he did was work on the Erie Canal?
Right. And I think what he did, I think he was staying with his sister, was Marino. Angelo Marino's wife was my father's sister.
And her name was Carmela?
Her name was Carmela, right. Yep.
What made the family settle in Fulton, of all places?
I have no idea. I never did hear. Because it was a cluster of Italians on the flats, and the flats was everything below Erie Street. They used to call that the Italian village down there. That's where all the Italians came to Fulton, settled down there.
And that's where you grew up?
And that's where I was born, down there on the flats. The house is no longer there. Zai was the guy that was over here first, and he more or less interpreted for these Italian people down that lived in this little Italian section down in Fulton, down below Erie Street.
And they all spoke Italian?
They all spoke Italian down there, as far as I know. That's where Dr. Sancada's what came from, and all the rest of them. And Zai was the interpreter. He had a grocery store down there, and that's where the Italian people got their macaroni and stuff. I guess that's about it on that, I think.
Okay. Now, he went back to Sicily and fought for Italy in World War I. Back then it was called the Great War. What made him decide to do that?
He never told me. I have the faintest idea why he went back. He was a young single man. So I assumed that he felt that he'd go back and fight for his own country, I guess. So that's what he did.
Now, when he went...
He was only a young man. Right? I think he was still a teenager, but I'm not sure. Not sure.
Now, when he went back, did he bring your mother back here?
Well, then after he come out of the service, he married my mother, and then he came over here.
Okay, so where did they get married? In Sicily? Or here?
No, they got married in Sicily. Yeah, they didn't get married here. Yep, they were married over there.
So how long did he know her? Like before they got married?
I have no idea.
They
were neighbors. Sorry,
I know, but did they correspond with letters, like when he was here? And then when he went back over to fight Italy?
I doubt that. I doubt that. No. No, it was a different time, different era. You know, that time most of the wives were fixed marriages. You had to go ask the father for the daughter. In fact, my godmother in Canastota, my father was interested in her before he met my mother, or before he decided to marry my mother. And her father turned my father down. She was a young teenager at the time.
Right.
So wasn't he. And I didn't know that story until she told me that. It was my godmother. She was married to Farfaglia too. So that's the only two love of his life I know about. That one that I wasn't aware of until she told me about it, that he was interested in her. But those days it was fixed marriages, practically.
So your mother was basically fixed with your father?
No, you see, I had there's very, very few details on my mother. I know hardly nothing about her. I do remember she said she had a brother. Her parents must have died real young or something. She never talked about her parents. So I know very, very little about on my mother's side. That's a shame. But I can't discuss it because they never discussed it with me or never said anything, so I don't know, you know. It's a sad situation, really.
Okay.
But actually, her name is more or less Greek. It was named Turda, and that's a Greek name, from what I found out later. So apparently, of course, the Greeks did occupy that island for quite a while, island of Sicily. They have a very turbulent history, Sicily. Okay, next.
Now, how long did it take your parents, you think, to learn English?
Pardon?
How long did it take your parents to learn English?
I thought I just said that. My father...
Your father was Americanized.
Yeah, he caught on fast. And my mother never really caught on. My father got... By the time he was become middle-aged, he was reading Drew Pearson, which was a columnist, wrote articles in the paper. That was his favorite columnist that he wanted to read, that he read all the time. And he wrote English. He had a sharp mind. And he wouldn't know that he came from the old country if you talked to him.
Right.
He had no accent or nothing.
So your mother had an accent?
Oh yeah, so she never got rid of it.
Did she know how to read in English?
No, she could not read English or nothing. No, she never got. She had a difficult time getting the citizenship papers. I remember when she got them.
How old was she when she got her citizenship papers?
I have no idea. I got it in there somewhere.
Were you born by then?
It was before we went in the service.
Oh, so you were a teenager then?
I was a teenager.
When she got her citizenship papers?
Oh no.
How?
No, she had to get her citizen papers in the 30s. I would think, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure about that.
But you said you remember it.
But yeah, I remember her getting the citizen paper because they had a little blowout over the Phillips Street School, and the principal from the school was there, and they had a little band, and they celebrated the fact that they became American citizens. And it was not only her, my mother, but a bunch of other people.
Right.
Also, it's funny. I don't remember what my father doing it when he got his. He must have got his right away, and I wasn't even aware of it.
So was he still a citizen of...
She had to learn who the first president was, and so on and so forth. These little stupid questions they ask you. And I guess she made it all right because they gave her the citizen papers.
Well, that's good. So do you think your father was a citizen when he went to fight for Italy? Or
No, he was not.
Okay. So it actually...
All this stuff happened afterwards.
Okay.
After they come over here, they immigrated back over here.
Okay. So did he ever talk about his World War I experiences with you?
The only thing he ever said about World War I was that he used to ride the mules over there, and they keep throwing him off and hitting him, and he'd fall on the ground. And he had a lot of... In fact, years later, when he was sick like I am, with emphysema, they... some reason or other, he took an x-ray of his head or something like that, and they found out he had a number of bags on him. And that was from the donkey throwing him on the ground. I remember that part, him telling me about that. He didn't get raised to the rank of corporal. Outside that,
Now,
he was up on the Austrian border somewhere, as far as he got. Never, no, very few details. Never talked about it.
my dad once told me that he got gas. So
Well, we thought that was a problem with that's why he had emphysema. Now I'm not so sure that he did, because his medical records or his discharge papers does not indicate that he was gassed in World War I. Because your medical history is on your discharge papers.
right.
If he'd have been gassed, I think it would have appeared on his papers.
Okay.
I think that was an industrial thing. Because when he worked over as a beater man in North End paper mill, and he used to dump this chlorine to bleach the paper, to make the paper perfectly white. They bleached it.
Right.
That's a strong chemical. I suspect that he may have ruined his lungs there. But I can't prove it because I've got the same thing. I never worked around bleach. So apparently it's a hereditary problem, I guess. But for years and years, like you say, we thought that he was gassed in World War II. And he didn't admit
World War I,
one.
you mean, yeah.
And he never poo-pooed it. In other words, he accepted it. Okay.
Okay. Now, your parents lost a baby before you were born.
I have no details on that whatsoever. I don't know why she lost it. It was the firstborn, and I was the secondborn. Why she lost it.
Was it a boy or a girl? Or?
I don't even know that, and I don't think it was even carried to term. Very little details on that. In fact, practically nothing.
Okay. Now, your brother Concetto, who drowned when he was 4, what memories do you have of him?
Well, that's very sad. Very sad. One day, a guy named Pickford, I was playing with my brother, come by, and some reason I talked to him, and I asked him where he was going. He said he's going fishing. And I said, oh, I'll go with you. So my brother started following us. I told him, hey, go on home. Don't be following us. And this Pickford says to me, if I remember the conversation, oh, let him come. All of a sudden, this Pickford, whatever his name was, he disappeared. You won't believe this. When we went under the bridge, we walked the girders on the lower bridge all the way across the river. Nothing happened. We come down out of it on the far side where the Granby is, and we're going across the bridge on the left at the end of the bridge, down what they call the raceway. It used to be a little factory down there, a paper factory. He was sat on the ledge looking at the water. And I was going up the bank, and I says to him, let's go home. No, let's wait a while. Come on, let's go home. Next thing I know, he was in the water. I looked down at him, and his eyes were about that big. His mouth was wide open, and he was reaching for me. I never forgot that. It haunts me even today. But anyway, then my father, he hired a diver to go down and try to find him. In those days, $50 a day, but that was a lot of money back in the 30s.
That was in the 20s, I believe.
Would it be the 20s?
Late 20s.
Yeah, it'd be real late 20s.
Yeah.
Almost 30. Because in 1923, and if I was 5 or 6 years old, maybe what, 29?
Yeah.
So it could have been 1929 or 1930. But he never found the body. Some guy was fishing down in Minetto, and he came over the dam down there. The guy seen him. Then on everything is fuzzy. I don't even know what happened. That's one of the sad things. You know, like my mother was very strict. Couldn't go across the road. Don't go down the corner. Stay in the yard. One day she turned her back and we were gone. Why it all happened that way, to this day there's no explanation. I don't have one. I don't know why he died and I didn't. It's one of those things, you know.
Right. Okay, what kind of relationship did you have with your with Uncle Sil, Aunt Virginia, and Aunt Jean while you were growing up?
It's a very strange family, in a lot of ways. I was the oldest one. I was a meanie.
Okay.
Yes, I don't know why. It was the tough times. It was hard to keep warm. But you know, as time went on, things got better and better and better. And then I think we were happy in our teens until the war broke out. Then everything changed. Then outside that, there's no big event that I'm aware of.
Okay. Now, you said earlier that you spent 2 years in kindergarten learning English. So as you got older, was English spoken less and less, like in your house and in your neighborhood? Or was it a combination?
My mother and my aunts always talked Italian, never talked English. My father would talk. My father, when he was with Italians, he talked Italian. When he was with English people from here, he talked English. But, my mother understood English. You couldn't kid her but she had difficulty speaking it. She tried a few times, but it never really caught on.
Okay.
That's it.
Now, in the past, you have mentioned about how difficult it was to be Italian growing up, you know, during the time period when you were a kid. Now, Just a couple days ago, someone told me that Italians back then were looked upon at the same level as African Americans and blacks. Do you want to share any of your experiences?
Well, that's true. You know, they took the menial jobs. What else can I tell you? But still had great opportunities coming over here. I mean, it was hard to call yourself. I myself always felt that I was not American until I came back from the service, till I went in the service.
Right.
I believe there I earned the right to become an American. Up to that point, I always had some doubts because I can remember going to Chalk Awards and applying for a job, and they asked me what my nationality was, and I put down American. And this personnel manager looked at that and looked at me and looked at my name. But I always had that feeling that I didn't belong here. And I felt after I went into the service, I earned the right to be here, and I earned the right for my family to be here. In other words, I'd done my duty.
You mentioned to me one time about how you went on some date with some girl, like maybe from Valney, and her father, like, really didn't like you.
Who told you that story?
I thought you told me that story.
I did?
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy, Dick Bennett down here, his father did that to me.
What did he do? Just give you a dirty look, or did he?
Yeah, he ignored me while I was in the house. He wouldn't speak to me and all that stuff, and I got the message. I got the message. And when I came back from the service, she tried to get, I met her downtown there. She tried to come over to me, and I spoke to her, and hello. She stopped and wanted to talk to me. I kept right on going. It made such an impression on me. But after years, I traded down there. Finally, one day, he says to me, "Did you come to my house once?" And I said, "Yeah, that was me." And that was the end of that conversation. But I got along great with his son. But he treated me like dirt.
Right.
I felt it. I felt it. It was a different time, a different era. Italians were looked on, you know, they all forgot that their parents were immigrants. I mean, there's nobody really American.
Right.
But after they get here, after a while, they kind of think that everybody else is a foreigner. They forget that they were foreigners. I think that's what makes this country so great, but go ahead.
Grandpa, talk all you want. There's no time limit here, okay? The more the better, like I said before.
Yeah.
Now, did some Italians, like, change their names to try and escape from that type of treatment?
Yeah. Yeah, the guy, let's see, there's two people I know of that changed their name. One who worked at a bank, his name was Guglielmo, he changed it to Williams. And one guy, his family was called Bianca, he changed his name to White, which means, Bianca means white.
I see.
So, they changed their name to White.
Did anybody in your family think about doing that?
No, nobody in the family. Everybody stuck with their name in the family.
Your
These are other families.
Right, but your father's name was Isidore.
Right.
But on his gravestone it says Theodore.
You're right. He did change his name from Isidore to Theodore, and I don't remember why. There's nothing wrong with Isidore, but apparently he wanted to change it to Theodore. That's all I can tell you. Just like your grandmother. I didn't see nothing wrong with Isidore. But he knew that in American it was Theodore, so that's what maybe that's another way for him to become Americanized a little bit. Okay.
Okay. How well did your parents do, like, financially, like, compared to other families, like, in this area?
They just keep their head above water. They always paid their bills. Their savings were not great. They only had a few $1,000s. They really didn't amount to anything. but the fact that he owned a home, owned an automobile, and he knew that if he was in Italy or Sicily, he would never own a home, never own an automobile. And when I asked him, let's go back to your hometown, he refused. He says, I know what's over there, and I know what's over there.
Okay.
I got more here than I would have over there.
Now, when you ask him to go back to your hometown, you mean like to live there permanently or just for a visit?
Visit.
And he didn't want to go back there.
That wasn't interested. He said, I know what's there. I'm happy right here where I am. He said, if I was over there, I wouldn't own a home, I wouldn't own a car or nothing. I'd be up working on a farm. His living was a hell of a lot better here than it was over there. Even though they struggled, just barely kept their heads above water, he did have more material things than he would if he stayed over there.
Okay, now you said before he worked at the Erie Canal.
Then when he came back, I think he did a stint at the woolen mill first, and then he went to North End Paper Mill. Then he spent the rest of his life there, working there. Retired for North End Paper Mill. And that paper mill is still there. Right over there on Hannibal Street.
Okay, now you were 6 or 7 years old when the Great Depression started.
When the what?
When the Great Depression started, you were like 6 or 7 years old. So since you were telling me a few minutes ago that your family just barely kept their head above water when it hit, was there any difference? Did you notice any difference? Like for you and your family?
I don't know what you mean. A difference in what area?
Well, let's see, you said that your family kept their heads right above water, right? But then they said the Great Depression hit all through the 30s. Was your family...
Oh, during the Depression, that was tough.
I mean, was there a difference, like from before and after? That's what I'm asking.
Yes, sure. During the Depression, those years were tough. He only worked... He was fortunate one way. He worked 1 day, 2 days a week. Oh, there's a story there, too.
Okay.
That's when the radios were popular. My father went down to Montgomery Ward's and bought an airline radio. $1 down, $1 a week. He missed a couple payments because he was only working a couple days a week. So instead of paying for the radio, you got to put food on the table, right?
Right.
So they come down to take the radio back. Montgomery Ward did. Somehow he convinced them that he would pay it up. And so they let it go, and he did pay it up. But it was an old airline radio. That was during the height of the Depression. And I can remember a truck stopping in front of the lawn and throwing some cabbage on our lawn. And apparently there was some surplus cabbage around. And apparently we qualified for some food. Because a lot of people weren't working at all, but he was fortunate. He got a couple days a week.
And that was better than nothing.
That was better than nothing. That's right. That's right. Yeah, that paper mill run during the Depression, but only a couple days a week. Oh, by the way, that mill treated my father great. Every time he was desperate and needed money, when my brother was drowned, they loaned my father the money to pay the diver to go down and look for my brother. And they took it back out of his pay, $1 or $2 a week, until he paid it back. And one other time he borrowed money from him, and I don't remember what the hell the incident was for. I don't remember. I remember that one incident. Then he had another incident where he was desperate and he borrowed some money, and they came through. They treated him good.
That's good.
They did. They treated my father good over there. And he never missed a day. Worked every day.
Even when he was sick.
Even when he was sick, he never took a day off. Never took a day off. Yeah, that's it, I guess, on that.
Okay. What were considered luxuries during the late 20s and 30s? I mean, obviously there was no television in
No.
those days. So did your family listen to the radio?
Radio was the big thing.
Do you remember what kind of programs you listened to?
Yeah, we used to hear Fibber and Malali.
What were they?
They were a team, a husband and wife,
Are they comedy?
comedy. I remember Cab Calloway and playing the trumpet. For some reason or other, it stuck in my mind. It came over the radio real sharp. What the hell else we listened at that time? Oh, one of those scary stories. What the hell was it? The only thing I can think of was Intersanctum, but I don't think it was that. But you'll be surprised what they did on the radio. You people never heard it. But they did so well that you could visualize horses running, doors slamming, dishes, table being set with dishes and stuff. They had it right down pat. I mean, that radio was almost like TV without the vision. They had experts in every field. And if they was running a story about horses and stuff like that, or whatever, mules, cows, they could do it. They could do it. And I don't know, Jack Benny was on there, Bob Hope and all those people. I listened to them on the radio. Then I see them overseas. Radio was a big thing. And the big star, Ed Wynn, the fire chief, he had a program.
What about the Lone Ranger?
The Lone Ranger was on the radio too. I remember that, High Old Silver.
Right.
Yeah, that was quite an era. Radio was a big thing.
Do you remember the famous War of the Worlds radio program?
Never heard that one. Apparently I didn't have the radio on that day or something. But I read about it or talked. Everybody was talking about it on the papers the next day. We missed it.
Good thing.
We missed that big event. Where the world's were coming to an end with Orson Welles.
Yeah.
We missed that. We missed that one. Well, you kind of remember much. How would we know it was going to be on the radio? I don't think we read the newspapers to find out what the hell was on the radio, and things like that. Those days were different, Ain't like today, you pick up paper and you know what's on.
Right. Okay, when the radio wasn't on, what did the family do when everybody came home from work and school? I know you
There
had...
wasn't much to do, to be honest with you. It wasn't the radio. I don't know, it just hanging around. We did a lot of hanging around. We used to hang around the corner down there on 4th and Erie. There used to be a grocery store on the corner, which was Christopher's. And us kids, I used to hang it before we went in the service. There was a whole gang of us from that area that hung around there. And a lot of those guys were in the service, and a lot of them didn't come back. Yeah.
You said before that your father had an automobile? How did he pay for that?
I don't remember how he bought that. It was an old Model A. And I remember he took his test here in Fulton, and he failed. So they scheduled for the next test. The next test was in Plasky. So on the way to Plasky, a tire blew and the thing rolled over.
Oh, no.
And me and my cousin were in the back seat.
Jimmy Marino?
No, No, it was Jimmy Speciale from Corning,
Okay.
the Speciale family. My father, in fact, he was in a detention home up in Syracuse, and my father went up and got him and brought him to our place.
Did he live with you for a while?
He lived for us for quite a while. Right. Right. And when my father died, he didn't show up. I didn't have nothing to do with that man since. And he's done dead and gone now too. But after what my father did for him, my mother, he didn't show up for either one of them. And he was my first cousin on my mother's side. That was the end of him. Okay, next.
So, grab it. You talk all you want. There's no, like I said before, okay? All right, now you didn't finish high school, but you went to work to help the family out.
Yes, yeah, I went, let's see, did I go to the wool mill first or down to the shingle plant down on the flats? Well, I went to the wool mill first. I worked there for a little while, and they put me on nights, and I asked for a day job, and I didn't show up. And I decided I would probably go back to school. Instead of going back to school, I went to work at the shingle plant down on the flats. I used to make shingles down there for roofing shingles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I worked until I went into service.
So your paycheck went to your parents when you got it?
I don't know why that's vague. I just don't remember. I don't remember. Seems so they want me to pay board to show some responsibility. I must have paid board. It was the wages weren't that big in them days. What, $10 or some stupid thing for a week's work, something like that. It was 20 cents or 35 cents an hour. 40 hours is only 10, 12 bucks a week.
Right.
But you can buy a pound of macaroni for 2 cents. You know, things like that. So I don't have any detail. I don't remember.
Okay. Now, you were 10 years old when Franklin Roosevelt became president. What did you and your family think of him? Your opinions of him during that time?
Well, I don't know as we really even discussed Roosevelt in the family. I don't think that subject was ever brought up politically. See, my father really didn't get into it till after the service. He really, you know, read Drew Pearson and all those people. Before then, Roosevelt wasn't discussed. Well, in fact, everybody in the neighborhood wouldn't even have Roosevelt's picture up. They had Hoover's picture up every place you were.
Why?
Oh yeah.
Why is that?
Hoover. Because it's a Republican.
Okay.
Most of the people in the neighborhood were Republicans. So you didn't see no Roosevelt picture, you seen all Hoover.
Did you ever listen to his fireside chat on the radio?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't remember any of them. I don't remember any of them. We got most of them in the news. We go to radio. I go to movies. They used to have a movie tone or some stupid thing like that.
Movie tone news.
Yeah, movie tone news.
Yeah.
Right. And they would show what happened. I don't know, wouldn't like the time, but they would show Roosevelt making his speech to Congress and all that stuff.
What was going to the movies like back then?
Cheap.
But I was told that it was like
Cheap.
I was told that it was an all-day event. That you would go there, watch the news, then a couple of comedy shorts, then a cartoon, and then the main
Yeah,
feature.
they gave you a lot for your money. It was a good couple hours. That was a big entertainment outside of the radio. Movies was a big thing. That's where everybody went. Saturdays and Sundays, that was a night out, going to the movies. New Year's Eve, everybody used to go to the movies. It's funny. It's a different time. It has not between the difference between today and then. There's difference in night and day. It's just it's a different world.
Really?
A real different world. It's hard to convey. If you didn't live it, it's hard to tell somebody else how it was like.
Okay, now World War II broke out, and you got drafted?
Pardon?
World War II broke out.
Yeah.
You got drafted?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, I did get drafted.
And then last week you were telling me about how you and Jimmy Marino were like deciding between the Army and the Navy.
Right.
So you got drafted, but you got to choose which branch you went into?
That's right. Yeah, because we were physically fit. We were in good shape. I had 3 years of high school. He had, I think he graduated. No, or didn't he? I don't remember. Well, anyway, we went to Syracuse to take our physical for the service. And that's where they, after we got through with our physical, that's where they told us we were physically fit. We could go pick any branch of service we like. And that, like you just said, we were going to go in the Navy. I said, what do you got against the Army? Okay, let's go in the Army. Oh, that's the way we did it.
Now
Not knowing.
How were you notified? Did you get something in the mail? Or did you get a phone call?
Phone? We didn't have no phone in them
You
days.
didn't have no phone, okay. I didn't know that. That changes everything there.
Oh, yeah, we didn't have no phones. After I come out of the service, I think we got a phone. Hopefully. We used to have to go across the street and use the old lady Wright's phone. If we had an emergency, or we had to call somebody. Where was I?
How were you notified that you got drafted? Did you get something in the mail?
Good question. Must have got it in the mail. Must have got it in the mail. To report. And I don't know how I reported. Oh yeah. Then it was sent us home and told us a reporting date. And then they went downtown, got a bus, went to Syracuse, got on a train and went to Fort Niagara, Buffalo, New York. And that's where we got our shots and our clothes. And you'd be surprised. You're walking down through the line, they would shoot you with inoculating you. Some of these guys would keel right over from the inoculation.
So was that the first time you were ever on a train?
No, I had been on the train before because we used to go down and see my mother's sister down in Corning. We used to go down by train.
Okay.
So in Buffalo, they gave us our clothes. And this guy gave me a couple outfits that fit me. Then he gave me one outfit that was about that big around, and the legs were about that short. That story comes up later on in the service.
Okay. Have you ever left New York State up until that point?
Never left New York State until that point.
Okay. Now Jimmy Marino, did he go to basic training with you?
Yes, we went together with both of us went to Camp House, Texas. And went through basic training down there. And he was assigned to one other battalion, and I was in another battalion. He was pretty smart. He had an IQ a little bit higher, quite higher than mine. And they offered to train him for something. He was at that school, and he flunked out. He came back to the outfit, and they turned around and they sent him overseas. They shipped him out. And that's where he went to Italy. Joined an outfit over there.
Now that's interesting that you bring that up because I thought I heard before that they sent you to fight in the Japanese because they didn't think that an Italian could fight another Italian.
Oh, that question was asked at recruiting time. You got any? Is there any reason why you wouldn't fight against Italians or some question along that line? And I said, no, no problem. I mean, in other words, if I had to go to Italy, it was, I would not object. In other words, perfectly okay. But I didn't have no attachments to Italy. I mean, as far as, you know, my parents were Italian, yeah, but I had no attachment to the country.
Right.
So that took care of that. That's how that happened.
You mentioned before that you got in trouble down in basic training because
Yeah, we after left Camp Howells, Texas. We finished our basic training, and then we went into maneuvers. We went to Louisiana for our maneuvers. And after the maneuvers, we ended up in Camp Livingston. And there we continued our training. So we had our pass, we could go to Alexandria. Okay?
Alexandria, Virginia?
No, Alexandria,
Louisiana?
Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah, Alexandria, Louisiana. And they had 11 o'clock curfew. I got tied up with a girl there.
What does that mean?
And it was beyond 11 o'clock. So the MPs come along, picked me up, threw me in a goddamn brig. And there was the guys in there that were sick, vomiting. I can remember this one. I was grabbing on the bars and hollering, "Get me the hell out of here." I said, these people are sick. They're urinating over in the corner, and they're vomiting. So finally they come in and gave me a clean cell. So the next morning they shipped me back to camp. Well, they sent the report to the regimental commander that I was picked up breaking curfew. They wanted to know what they were going to do about it. There was a notation on the order that I was picked up, and they wanted to know what disciplinary measures were going to be taken against me. So we have a bulletin board. It tells you what's going on. I went down there one day, looked at it, my name was on there.
Uh-oh.
POE, Port of Embarkation.
What does that mean?
Ship it out, Port of Embarkation. And there was a whole bunch of us got shipped out then. Then from there I went to Fort Ord, California. I went down to the day room. I never did see him, but everybody told me that Mickey Rooney was down there playing the piano, and all these GIs was around him, and I couldn't even see him. So we didn't stay there very long. They put us on the ship. You know, they don't tell you nothing. They just herd you together, push you on the ship. Now, that's the first time I had ever been on the ship. And we was going under the Golden Gate Bridge. And we was in the chow line. And I remember this one. Boy, I got a whiff of that kitchen. Did I get sick? I didn't eat. Needless to say, I didn't eat. I rushed back to my bunk. And the bunk was 2 or 3 high down in a hole. I'm sleeping on a canvas, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But after about 2 or 3 days, I kind of snapped out of it. I got kind of used to it. And that's when I read, your father got a big kick out of this. That's when I read my first novel, Forever Amber, aboard that ship.
What was that about?
It took place in England during the plague. They had in England. And I can remember that ship rolling like this. Then a couple days of roll, it go up like this and down like this. So one day I looked up, they had a chart up there, and they showed zigzag lines as the ship was going. And I asked somebody, why the zigzag? What's that? What's that all about? He says, we're in hostile waters, and we think there's Japanese submarines around here. This is a troop ship. So we spent so many seconds heading one direction, then we had so many seconds heading the other direction. That way the submarine can't get a bead on us. Because we don't stay one direction all the time. We're zigzagging. Well, we'd be going this way for a while, you might have a look at us, and all of a sudden we turn and go the other way. So they've got to readjust their scout scope. So that's what they did going toward hostile waters. We landed in New Caledonia, which is a French island, not very far from Australia. There I met the 25th Division. We had just come back from New Zealand. And they threw them out of New Zealand because they were marrying all the women there and causing a lot of problems. Because they went from Guadalcanal to get rest, they put them in the rest R&R. They put them in New Zealand. But it was back easy living again. So they yanked them out of there, put them in New Caledonia, and then got re-outfitted, and I went there as a replacement. And that's where it all started there. Company commander, still remember his name, Captain Lomenzo. Very good officer. He spent there. We did some more training, field training. The incident we had there was every once in a while we have what they call an alert. You see how fast you can pack your things, be out on the company street, ready to move. In one tent, there was a kid in there, and they kept. Apparently, the guys in there were picking on him or kept telling him, "This is a real thing. This is a real thing," you know. So one time, when he had one of these alerts, he was all out in the company street, and we heard the shot, rifle go off. So they went in and looked in the tent. This kid had committed suicide to avoid going into combat. Apparently made an awful impression on him. Committed suicide. That happened right in our company street. Right in our company. Outside that, we used to go to movies every night or every weekend. I forgot what it was. We had movies set up there, and we used to watch these stupid movies. And they always used to play a song before they started the movies. Are you ready? The first few times we went there, we never heard it. Never heard nothing. Nobody said anything. After that, after a while, we started saying, "Yes, we're ready." We started answering. Then we had another bad situation there. These poor people would volunteer to come overseas to entertain us. They made a mistake of bringing in an opera outfit.
Oh, what?
Opera.
An opera? Okay.
People would sing opera. These poor people got up on the stage, you know, and they start singing opera. And you could hear the rumble right through all the guys sitting there. Very discourteous, you know. Yeah, you know, 18, 19, 20-year-old, we don't want to hear that jet, you know.
Right.
It was something that, so the officer got up there and he's explained, you know, that these people came over to entertain, you know. We ought to be courteous enough to to listen and applaud and so on and so forth. So for one of the guys with him, he says, one of the singers, he says, I know what these boys want out here. He said, I'm going to sing it for them. Stout, hardy men. He sang that with his big bass voice. Oh, he got the biggest hand you ever heard in your life. So, but then Bob Hope came over, but we've been under the airstrip to watch him, and the whole division be down there, which is 10,000 people. And I never up in front.
Right.
You know. Then Jack Benny came and entertained us. So both those guys stopped and entertained us. They took some awful chances too. They put their lives on the line a couple times just to entertain us. World War II, this country was a total commitment. Everybody was committed. I don't think there might have been a few slackers here and there, but the 90%, 99% of the company was committed to winning this war. And everybody was doing whatever was necessary to win it.
You mentioned something before about how when drill sergeants or company commander would try to pronounce your last name, you would
Oh,
always...
yeah, that was a lot of fun, yeah. they would they have roll call every morning, or every evening, I forgot when it was, every retreat or in the morning. Anyway, they have roll call. And every time they get to my name, the guy would hesitate, the sergeant would hesitate. And I would always say, here. And everybody get a chuckle out of it. Well, that brings me back to that. So at night, they have a retreat. When they lower the flag and all this stuff, when they blow the bugle and all that, you know, the military stuff.
Right.
So you have to be dressed. A retreat got to be dressed. So I came out with those fancy pants that they gave me in Fort Niagara, that was that big around,
Right.
and about this short, and put them on. And the first sergeant come out, and they look, and he see me, and well, beer, he said. So he got me up in front of the company, he looked me over, he said, hey, good-looking soldier, he says, how about you and the supply sergeant getting together? See if there's something we can do about that outfit you're wearing. So that's how I got rid of them pants.
Good.
I had to do it that way, otherwise they wouldn't have paid no attention to me. Now where are we at?
We're doing good. What next?
What's
Would
next?
you go after the Bob Hope event?
See, what the hell? We're in New Caledonia now, right?
Yeah.
Let's see, what other event? And that's about it in New Caledonia. Just mostly it was training. Oh, we had one guy there, his name was Wilhelm. I never forgot his name. German, apparently that's a German name, Wilhelm. He was a veteran from Guadalcanal.
Now, what was Guadalcanal all about?
That was the first offensive action that the United States took. What went in there first was the Marines. Then after that, the 25th Division went in and relieved them. They finished cleaning up the island. And at that time, the general's name was Lawton Collins. He developed a strategy. The Japanese would have a line of defense. What he would do was penetrate the line here, penetrate it here, have the American troops meet and surround that area. Then they would drop leaflets in there and tell them to surrender, they're surrounded. But they never surrendered. We had to go in there and literally get them out of their holes. But it was a strategy that he had developed. where you, instead of hitting them frontal, trying to bang the whole line, he would cut it off into pieces. And he would surround them with American troops, and then tell them to surrender. If you're surrounded, there's no way for you to get out. But they would never surrender. No. In fact, that general ended up commanding an army in Europe. And after he left, General Mullins took over. He took over for the rest of the years of the rest of the war. In fact, he's the one that gave me the pinned the Silver Star on me.
I brought it with me.
Huh?
Brought that picture with me.
Did you?
Yeah.
So after, I'll tell you about Wilhelm. Carm, he says, we're not going to make it. And he pounded on this day in and day out. It's all I heard from him. He wouldn't talk about it. Carm, I ain't going to make it. I know I'm going to die. I might as well shoot myself right now. There's no need even staying here. I'm going to die. And he kept it up till I got irritated. So I picked up the rifle one day, and I pointed right at him, right down next to his head, while he was laying on the bunk.
So this is after weeks and weeks of him saying that you got.
Oh, after weeks and weeks. I mean, it wasn't just a couple times. It was just it was a constant thing with him. I says, "No, you want to die?" Yeah, he says, "Go ahead, pull that goddamn trigger." I says, "You're nuts." After I pulled away, he says, "You know what? What?" I said, "I wish somebody would have bumped in you, or you had an accident, and that thing went off and killed me." He says, "I know I ain't going to make it."
Oh my God.
So, after we were all through in New Caledonia, they loaded us aboard ship. They didn't tell us where we were going. We almost got there, and that was the Philippines. I learned this afterwards. On our way there was a big typhoon. And for a couple of days, all we did was just circle, go around in circles, until the typhoon left the area. Next thing we know...
Now how far are you here, like from when you started? Where were we at, like 6 months?
Oh, longer than that.
What about eight
I
months,
was
a
in
year?
the States over 6 months. See, dates are not, you know, 17, 18, 19 years old. I didn't keep track of no time and dates, stuff like that. But I had basic training was, I don't know, 12, 16 weeks, something like that. Then we had maneuvers. Then I went to New Caledonia. We trained some more, another 3, 4, 5 months there. So I would say it was a year before I seen combat.
Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was kind of curious at the timeline here.
Yeah, well, I had no idea. I just didn't pay no attention. The timeline. So to finish the story on Wilhelm, we was
Okay.
landed. Well, we landed in the Philippines. I don't know what division went to hit the beach first, but they little resistance, and we were held in strategic reserve because there was an armored division north of the beach. And what we were supposed to do is, if they threatened the beach, we were supposed to go in and cut them off. That never developed. They didn't threaten the beach. So we went to shore. So we went in with landing craft. They dropped the ramp, and the lieutenant says, "Carm, hit it." And I looked at that water, and something told me not to do it, but he told me again, hit it. So I jumped off, never touched bottom. And good thing I know how to swim. And I lost my rifle. And I treaded water for a few minutes, and he reached down, picked me up, put me back in the boat. He went to another spot, and then we landed.
Okay. Right there is the map of the Philippines. Where did you land?
Lingayen Gulf.
The where?
Lingayen Gulf.
We'll point it out on there.
You gotta find it first.
Okay.
There's Luzon, the island of Luzon. There's San Fernando. They don't show the Lingayen Gulf.
Do you know approximately where it was?
Well, I think it'd be up by San Fernando, up in that area.
Point it out.
Just above, up in this area in here.
Okay.
They don't show Lingayen Gulf. Yeah, I got that stuff in there somewhere. It shows
Okay.
it. On that beach, the thing I remember from there was a Japanese plane coming over, and everybody on the beach was shooting at it, and they brought it down. Because there was about a battalion shooting.
Look at it. Hello. Hi. Not much. Let me find it. Let me see if he's still here. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, they brought that plane down anyway, and I'm the only one sitting on the beach. I couldn't shoot because I didn't have no rifle. And the officer walks over to me. He told me I wouldn't have had to pay for the rifle because it was lost in combat.
People had to pay for rifles if they were...
Apparently he was under that impression. I had to pay for that rifle because I lost it. But it was under combat conditions, so I didn't have to pay for it.
Good.
Thanks.
Okay, go ahead.
So, from then on, we went in, took the town of Sainte Marie. We moved inland. We took control of this town of Sainte Marie. That night, super Filipino didn't know if to stay in his goddamn house or higher, whatever you call them. I forgot what they called them over there.
Well, back then the Philippines was American territory.
Pardon?
Back then the Philippines was American territory. That you're
Yes,
they're trying to get back.
We were taking it back.
Yeah.
Okay. He got killed. One of the guys shot him.
Who, Wilhelm?
No. Yeah, Wilhelm finally gets it, but let me tell you the story how.
Okay.
But that night, a Filipino got killed because he was moving at night. Usually, anything that moved at night was the enemy. That was our philosophy.
Right.
So when we woke up the next morning, it was a Filipino. He had no business, moving. So we left that Sainte Marie, and there were some bunkers beyond that, and we stormed them. And this Wilhelm was with me. He got hit. Oh, he says, I'm going home, I'm going home. He says, I got hit and I'm going home. Holy shit, boy, I'm going home. I said, well, as long as you're going home, give me your cigarettes. I ain't got any goddamn cigarettes. Here, take my goddamn cigarettes. He says, I'm going home. He said, I'm wounded. So he gets on a Jeep. They head back to battalion headquarters. What does the guy do? Took the wrong turn. He runs into a battalion of Japanese.
Oh, no.
He couldn't run. Couldn't get away from them. The other guy got away. They all used his body for bayonet practice.
For what? What practice?
Bayonet. bang it.
Oh.
Japanese gun to him.
Oh my Lord.
So this same outfit, these same Japanese, that night, we were in this little village called Pimiento. We had defenses set up in there because we were going to attack the town of Umingan the next morning. They come, and this Japanese column was coming down the road to reinforce this Umingan, this town we were going to take. We caught them. So we had the M6s with us, and they fired it down the road, and they stopped that column. It was nighttime. And they got out, and the Japanese started shooting at us while we were in our holes, dug in our holes. And they had the artillery shells, and what they did was they lowered them right straight down, and I had to literally hug the ground. They were whistling over my head, probably 5-6 inches. Terrible, terrible sound. The guy 2 doors from me, two holes from me, was sitting up like this with his rifle waiting. Some bitch is shelling right through his head. So the Japanese started hollering, Benzai, Benzai. When they hollered Benzai, this Captain Lomenzo I was telling you about, he went to the heavy weapons platoon and told the guy, now. Then we shoot mortars at him. And he would tell them the range and so on and so forth. And every time we shoot the mortars at them, they would stop the Benzai. That Benzai, they're attacking. They kept that up practically the whole night. They fired at us on point blank. They fired at us. Woke up the next morning. They had a Studebaker car, tanks, artillery things, all, we wiped them right out. So I was looking out in the field here in front of me, this rice paddy. Here's this Japanese running. So I picked my rifle up and I was following him. About the time I got a beat out of him, he hit the ground. So what they said was, you run 10 paces and hit the ground, can't get a beat on him. Can't shoot him. So when he was laying down in the foxhole there, behind the rice paddy, I put a rifle grenade on it, on my rifle, and fired that. Missed him. So he ran again. Finally he goes in behind the homes over there were built on stilts. He come up behind it, and he was observing. I'm ahead of myself. The reason I started shooting at him was because he shot the guy next to me.
He's the one that the bullet went through? Head?
No, this was another one.
Okay.
In fact, he was opening up a can. He had a can opener, and I couldn't find mine. And I threw it to him, and he reached out of the hole to go get it. When he did, the guy shot him right through the arm, right through the shoulder. Probably was aiming for his heart, but shot him through there. So that's how I noticed he was out there. I got ahead of myself. So when he come up behind under that home, all I could see was that star on his helmet. I took my rifle, laid it right down on that star, and fired. Didn't see him no more. They sent out a scouting outfit, and he was there. I got him.
Was that the first Japanese you shot?
Yeah, he's Japanese. But you know what? Those Japanese had pictures of their family, their kids, and everything. You know, but to us, they weren't human. You know, we took that attitude for some reason or other. Was it either, I don't know if it was instilled or what, but I felt nothing. So the next morning, We're going to take this town over. The town of Umingan.
That is still in the Philippines here.
Yeah, still in the Philippines.
Okay.
They haven't left me. Oh, we're going to be in the Philippines for 160 days.
Okay.
So our company had to go up to follow the creek into the town. And the 1st Battalion would go frontal assault. We would be in the creek. And the guys with the frontal assault were dropping, and the priest was out there blessing them as they got hit. Ironic. Got shot through the hand. This priest was out there giving these guys last rites and stuff. Some Japanese put a bead on him. They shot him right through the hand. But he was evacuated. Well, after spending that all day long in that creek, we finally got into the town. And we took it over. Next thing, all hell broke loose. Tracers coming at us. I was behind a tree about that big around. Come to find out, the 1st Battalion went this way, and the 3rd Battalion was coming in the other way. And when they seen movement in the city, in this town, which was us, we were already in there. They didn't know it. They thought it was Japanese they seen running around and started firing at us. But a good thing, our radio man knew what their call was on their radio. And he called and told them we were already in the city. Don't shoot anymore. Got our own men there in there. And that's that picture of me. Did you see where down in the big hole? That was that town Umingan. That was me down in there. This guy snapped my picture. After we took that town over, the General Brown came in, which was Assistant Division Commander. And I told him, don't go across that bridge. We haven't checked it. We don't know if it's wired, you know, for bombing, to explode. But they checked it over. It was all right. There was no charges set against it. So after that battle, we went back to Clark. It took us back to Clark Field. We set up camp there. And the Army commander was making a decision on who was going to go to Manila and who was going to have to go up in the mountains to chase Yamashita. And that's the man we were after. He was the commander of the Philippines. Well, they decided the 1st Cavalry was going to go to Manila in the 25th Division. Somehow they changed their mind. Instead of us going to Philippines, the Manila, we had to go up in the mountains. So that's where we started off. We left Clark's Field after we had camped there for a while, rested, so on and so forth. We had to head up in the mountains. And that's where we spent quite a few days up in there. That's where things really got real touchy. Our first encounter was going up this mountain, and all of a sudden this artillery shells started coming over our head. So we all had to hit the ground. They called up an artillery officer. He came in and he took out his glasses, checks it over, and he called for our artillery, and they put a smoke shell, sent a smoke shell down first to mark the target. What these Japanese would do is come out of that mountain, fire at us, and then go back in. So after they fired the smoke shell, the target was marked. They zeroed in all the battalion or division guns right on that spot. And they all fired at the same time. You never heard such a thing in your life. Whistling sound, and they're all right on that target. We went over afterwards and sent us over there to check it out. See if there's anything left there. There was nothing left. They had literally blown that side of that mountain right off. And there was, couldn't find the artillery shell, we couldn't find no human beings or nothing. So that was our first encounter with my first encounter with artillery. I don't know, we're getting into the deep stuff now, I don't know.
You want to take a break?
Yeah, I'll take a break.
Okay, but don't forget where you left off, okay?
Yeah, we took off cleaning up that mountain, remember?
Yeah. All right, we'll take a break.
Okay.
Lights not on.
We probably should backtrack and talk a little bit about
Have to be.
the outfit we're talking about,
Okay.
which is a 25th Division. Now this division was originated in Hawaii. They were there December 7th when the Japanese attacked. But what there was, it was what they call the Old Square Division, which had 4 regiments.
Mm-hmm.
When in World War II, they cut them down to 3 regiments. So they took the 24th Division, they called one the 24th, and they got a regiment from somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know the history of the 24th, but the 25th, they got their regiment came from the state of Washington, 161st, which made it a triangle division, 3 regiments. In other words, they broke up the 4 regiment deal for the words escapes me right now. Anyway, that's a guava leaf. Guava leaf
Okay.
with a streak of lightning through it. This leaf here is familiar in Hawaii. Now the 24th Division does not have the streak of lightning through it. That's a sister division.
Okay.
Now, the stuff that we've been talking about, Luzon here, the landing, there's a picture of the landing.
The island of Luzon.
Right, landed on the beach. Right here is parades and stuff that I participated in.
Grandpa.
This party I wasn't at, this Halloween party.
Grandpa. Hold it up. Okay, good.
Now I gotta explain them.
All right, go ahead.
I gotta look at them. This parade down here, I was in that. That's how they sold us this generals here. See this general here, what's his name? Bull Halsey was there. He was a Navy man. We paraded for him. And this other general here, Milford A. Harmon, I guess his name is. After, this is General Mullins. After this parade is when we got ready to go to the Philippines. You know, we went parade with the... Here it shows some training we went through to get ready to go to the Philippines.
Okay.
See, this is all dress rehearsal. Here we made a practice landing there. And we hit storming beaches and stuff. This is all still training period. This is still all training. This is New Caledonia.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. This is how we got the stuff to shore. When we unloaded the ships,
Mm-hmm.
we get in a column like that and pass the goods down, soldier to soldier, till we got to the beach. When they couldn't land on the beach. There's a map of the central Luzon. See, I have to look at them to myself to refresh my memory. That's the Central Plains. I'm still looking here at this stuff.
Okay. Take your time. No rush. No hurry.
Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff shows. See, I'm trying to find. This is the 164th here. This is the one that comes from the States to make the 3rd Regiment for division. That's the word I was looking for a little while ago. Couldn't say division.
Division. Okay.
Here the general's looking at a captured Japanese samurai sword. Right there.
You mean samurai?
Samurai.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it says. Now I'm trying to get you to that battle of the Pimiento and Umingan, where there we go. That's Umingan there. That's me down in there. This is part of the town.
Show where you are again.
Huh?
Show where you are again.
Right here.
Okay.
That's a bomb crater. This is where I told the general not to cross that bridge. I don't think they've got a picture of the bridge here. I'm looking for the destruction of Pimiento is what I'm looking for. They got 35th in here now. Road leading to Umingan. Here, there's the road that leads to Umingan. This is what I was telling you about a little while ago. That's the road that leads to it.
Okay.
That's what I was in, the 27th Infantry. This is part of the destruction that we caused. I don't know if there's anything else here. Most of this stuff is. I wanted to show you. See here. Remember I told you we started going up in the mountains? There's the mountains right there. I can't pronounce that word. Caraballo Mountains. You said I head for Manila. This is where we had to go.
Okay.
Yeah, and that Highway 5. Gee, I forgot about that. We talked about Highway 5 quite a bit, which went from San Jose to the Bolidi Pass. And the Bolidi Pass was our objective. And then into Santa Fe to southern entrance of the Cagayan Valley. That's where we're shooting for. Systematic defensive efforts, the Japanese pocket market corridors with compliance of large units waited in suicidal readiness for the 25th Division to begin to drive up the valley. See what I'm talking about?
Yes.
It's suicide.
The kamikaze.
Yeah, they stayed right there till you kill them. They would not retreat, and they would not surrender. What they would do is, if you overran them, you didn't kill them when you overran them, they'd jump out of their hole and kill an American, shoot them in the back. And they figured they'd done their duty because they took an American life. That's how fanatical they were. See, he jumps back and forth, this book does, on 164th, then it goes to the 27th. I was in the 27th Regiment. And what I'm trying to do is give you them. I won them. So, something that I was very proud of was the 65th Engineers here. they cut roads through those mountains that you wouldn't believe. They get supplies up to us, and they bring back our dead, and so on and so forth. And they brought up supplies, and they'd have to cut a road. And they'd always cut a road below the crown, so you could not see you could not observe it from the other side of the mountain. Follow me?
Yeah.
They go around the crown of it. And
Pick that up again.
the engineers?
Yeah.
Right there.
All right.
I was very impressed with them. I was impressed with them because they came. Another battle we had up in the mountains there. I'm trying to remember the name of that mountain. It's all in here, but it's very difficult for me to bring it all back. Look at there's an example of the highways they built. Look at, they got up there with a Jeep. Look how steep that is.
Whoa. Yeah.
Great outfit. Great outfit. I got one night's good sleep while I was up in the mountains. You know why? Because of them dogs. Them dogs. One night I was with that unit, and we was down by Highway 5.
Right.
I just conked right out because I knew the dogs were going to protect me. Oh. Now this guy here, there's General Mullins and General Dalton, then Colonel at that time. He was a colorful figure. He would carry pistols on his hips, and he had a red handkerchief around his neck. He was like a kind of a copy of Patton. And what he did was he went up to a mountain where one of the regiments was pinned down. And they told him, don't go up there, there's a sniper up there. Don't worry about no snipers. He went up there, he was up there with his glasses. Next thing you know, a bullet went right through his head. Got killed there. So this Belidi Pass, they were supposed to capture, they renamed it Dalton Pass after this general. He got killed. I'll just give you the highlights here. A lot of it was 164th here. See, most of my deals were with 27th. Now see all these mountains, and I'm going to show you. I don't know what kind of map you call this, but it shows the mountain range. You see where it says Wolfhound? That's the 27th. They named that ridge after my outfit, the 27th Regiment.
Okay.
Then all these big battles were all these names here of those battles.
And what?
Lone Tree Hill, big battle.
Where is that located? That map you just pointed out.
This is in the Philippines.
Is that the island of Luzon, or is that?
Yeah, still on the island of Luzon. I never left the island of Luzon. This is
Okay.
all Luzon.
All right.
This is the mountains of Luzon. All battles. Now, I wasn't in all these battles, but these are some of the battles were fought. And when we could fight for a battle, they would rename it, like Lone Tree Hill, Grassy Saddle, the Pimple. The Pimple is where I got hurt. Then right next to it, the Ward.
Okay, before I forget, now, you got hit at the Pimple?
At the Pimple.
Okay. Did you feel that you were going to die that day?
No. No, it was, well, of course, we're way ahead of our story on the Pimple. I just pointing that out to you. I'll get to that when we get to it.
Okay, all right. No problem.
You know, I just want to pick
I
up,
didn't want you to leave that out.
I just want to pick up a couple highlights for you,
Okay.
so you get a feeling of what we're talking about. Okay, we left you, I think,
Is there anything in that other book?
this one here was sent to me This was an artist. That instead of having a camera, he sketched all the battles. They're all sketched. See him?
Yeah.
Now you got a full book here. He sketched them all. He was a division artist. That gives you an idea of some of the battles. After the battle, you go in and sketch it, or if he was in the battle, he would sketch it.
Okay.
No cameras. In fact, our battle for Pimiento's in here somewhere. Yeah. There you go. In fact, yeah, look, I turned right to the page. So the 27th, remember I'm in the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
Roadblock, remember we set up a roadblock there, Pimiento. This, and he sketched it. That's what I was telling you about.
All right.
That's that first battle we were in Pimiento. That's where that. Oh, the commander, I didn't realize that the commander himself was in that sedan. He got burnt to death when my outfit fired at him coming down the road. I didn't see now. This refreshes my memory. I don't remember that. The Japanese commander burned to death in this sedan, while his artillery and armor piled up along the road behind him. That was he was leading, and he took the first shot. But this guy done an excellent job. There, he's got a lot of the 27th, and apparently he was with us quite a bit.
Yeah, bring it back up again.
Shows you some of the work, some of the things he sketched of our battles.
Okay.
Now, I maybe his name was William D. Jarnett Rutherford. How do you pronounce that?
Rutherford?
Rutherford.
Okay.
He was the catcher. He was the division sketcher for all
Good.
the things that happened.
Yeah, I didn't know they had sketches up there, man. I'm learning something right now.
Yeah, I don't know if all the other outfits did. But you see, there it is. How he starts off. 165 days.
Mm-hmm.
The story of the 25th Division on Luzon, and then his name again.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
We left the battle up in the mountains there where we blew out that artillery shell, right? Blew out that artillery.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the next attack we went into was a mountain position. They were dug in, and just like I told you, we overran it, and the Japanese come out of the hole and shot one of our men in the back. And then all of us turned around and filled them full of lead. I'm trying to think it was how eventful it was from then on. I can't quite. We did a lot of digging. There's a lot of miserable night. There's something I'm trying to do. I'd like to be able to convey the feeling of being in combat to an individual who has never been in one. Start off with, your mouth becomes very dry. You got a rapid heartbeat. Your stomach is knotty. You can't hardly swallow. And it's a feeling. I can't describe it. I wish I could really do it. Now you have to experience it to know what I'm talking about. It's one of those things that you have to experience. You don't think you can explain a battle of the fear of dying. That's what, every time you go into a battle, you think you're not going to come out. You think you're going to die. Now, I think subconsciously, I never saw myself as being dead. But apparently, the emotion was there. Hidden, apparently. The fear was there. But I can honestly say that I never see myself as being dead. Now we're back. We're up in the mountains, right?
Yeah. Want to elaborate more on that? Go right ahead.
So we ended up.
Grandpa.
We headed. I think the next big event for me was the pimple. We were holed up there for quite some time. The Japanese were up here on this pimple or wart, whatever you want to call it, and we were down here. And they were dropping grenades on us all the time. We'd call artillery fire in, but we never stopped them. So there was a bunch of us one day, 3, 4, or 5 of us standing there. All of a sudden I heard a slap. Turn around and look. It was a mortar shell. It was a dud. And it hit the ground, but never exploded. If it exploded, it would have got us all. Again, I can't explain it. It did not explode. So we all jumped right into our holes. We had them all built, you know, our foxholes. We had logs and stuff. We've been there long enough to almost build a house, you know. The artillery zeroed in on us, the mortar shell. When they seen us run, they knew they were on target. So they fired everything they had against us. That's the first time it was under severe mortar attack. Them shells were coming in there, exploding, and the whole earth was shaking. All of a sudden, my buddy, I forgot to tell you about my buddy, hollers over, "Carm, I can't find my arm." I stuck my head out of the hole, and I seen him. He got up and ran. So, it was under intense fire there. It seemed like forever, but probably was only 10, 15 minutes, but it was very severe. They gave themselves away, and our division artillery went over and knew where the shells were coming, or where the ones were coming. They poured artillery in there and silenced them. So the next morning they decided to go and attack this pimple. They brought the 164th Engineers up in a bulldozer. What he did was he kept cutting the top of that hill off, and he'd back up, cut it off, till he got a slope. So he got a slope. Then they brought a tank up. So the tank came up, and then we got behind the tank. Went up on this pimple, what we call the pimple, and that's where I got hit. And I was evacuated back to the battalion headquarters.
Where did you get hit?
The thigh, my leg.
Your right leg?
Yeah, burning sensation. I know I was hit because I feel the burning sensation. It was an artillery shell or a mortar shell, a fragment from one of those shells. They hit me. I don't know if it was our own, whether it was Japanese or what. Well, I don't know where it came from. But anyway, I got evacuated. I can see that doctor now. I said to the doctor, "If I got $1 million wound."
Explain what $1 million wound is.
He says, "No, you know, $1 million wound. It was you'd have a hole right through a bone. They'd put you on the ship and send you home." He says to me, "All you got is a couple $100 wound." He says you'll have a couple of weeks rest in a hospital. So that's where I went down to a hospital.
And you were there 2 weeks?
Oh, I was there longer than that. A guy down there liked me. Some reason he liked me. And every time the surgeon would come around, which was a colonel or a major, I don't know what he was, he'd tell me, take a walk. So I would. So I cheated a little bit. So instead of a couple of weeks, I got more than that. I don't remember how much I got out of it. So finally, I don't know if it was my conscience, or I heard my division been relieved, and so on and so forth. And my officers come down to see me, told me they needed me, you know, all this bullshit. I ate it. And so I said to this guy, the sergeant, I said, I think I'll go back to my outfit. It's up to you, Carm. You can hang around a little bit longer. All you got to do is just take a walk when the major comes in. Or I can call him and have him check you out. I says, call him. So he come down, he looked at my leg, he looked it over and said, ah, that's healing good. He says, you can go back to your outfit. When I got up there, I was sorry. Ooh, was I sorry. After being that good living, ooh, in the hospital, a bed, good hot meals. Oh, that man, that's really living. Got back up there, eating out of cans again, sleeping on the ground. So I tried to fake a sickness. I went to the battalion medical office, medical tent. There was a doctor there. I think he was a captain or something. I told him, I think I got yellow jaundice. I gave him this long spiel. He never looked at me. Finally, he gives me a little bag and he puts something in there and he hands it to me. He says, you take these, you'll be all right. You go on back to your outfit. I didn't get out of it. I had to stay with it. So then it was Easter Sunday. Come up after that.
Easter Sunday, what year?
It's a good question.
44, 45?
Probably 44, 45.
Okay.
Maybe 45. Yeah, because we went to Japan that same year. After we come back out of the mountains.
Okay, so Easter Sunday, 1945.
Well, they kind of was in our foxholes, and this minister jumped in a foxhole and he says, you know, today's Easter Sunday. I don't know what your faith is, but can I say a few words about Easter Sunday? Sure, go ahead, you know. Oh, I forgot to tell you, before we went up on the Pimple, my sergeant came over. His name was Spivolo. He was from Nevada. He was Catholic. He says, the priest is coming up to hear a confession before we go into the battle tomorrow. Do you want to go? I said, no. He says, you ought to. No. So, then I got a pang of homesickness, apparently. That's when I was going to, I took the rifle and I was going to shoot my foot. But I couldn't do it. That was the end of that, I guess. Then after that we went back to camp. Oh, I forgot a battle, didn't I?
You did?
Yeah, where I got the Silver Star. Missed that one. Where was that? I forgot.
Uh-oh.
It's on that, those papers.
Okay.
The citation.
All right.
Tells you exactly where it was. Doesn't it? That worn out piece of paper that's 60 years old. Oh, is it folded up or is it in a piece of plastic?
Okay.
somewhere in here. Oh, the award the Silver Star Medal by direction of the President under the provision of the Act of Congress approved 9th of July 1918. I wasn't even aware of that. Fulton 43, WD 1918. The Silver Star Medal is awarded by the Commanding General of 25th Division for the following named enlisted man: Technical Sergeant, then Sergeant Carmelo Farfaglia, 3283-7605. Infantry, United States Army, for gallantry in action against the Japanese forces near Dilong, how about that? Luzon, Philippine Islands on 18th of May 1945. When Technical Sergeant Farfaglia, platoon sergeant, was wounded during an attack on a strong, heavily fortified enemy position, he took over his duties and responsibilities. Completely disregarding for his own personal safety, he stood erect amid a hail of fire from enemy rifles and machine guns to lead his men in a charge that overran the enemy's positions. Boy, that's true there. Technical Sergeant Farfaglia, gallant and intrepid action, and was directly responsible for the reduction of a tediously defended enemy position, reflecting great credit upon himself in the military service. Home address, Miss Antonia Farfaglia, mother. Oh, they got Syracuse, New York down here. How about that? How about that? WHA Lieutenant Colonel, Adjutant General. Thomas A. Stark, Colonel, Chief of Staff. That picture's right there. This is the Silver Star they awarded me for this so-called gallant action I took here. I wasn't even aware where the heck it was. Oh, that's it that we had. When the general gave me that, he says to me, "What'd you earn this, soldier?" And I couldn't think of anything, so I said, "Banzai Hill." Oh, he said that was on the east side of the road. I says, "Yep." The whole regiment was on the east side of the road. Here, tells me it was DeLong, right?
Yeah, it looked gold from here. Until the start. It looked gold from here.
Looks like gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Silver Star. And
okay.
Oh, our great governor's going to put up a memorial or something to Purple Heart.
Yeah.
Soldiers.
Hey, you want to explain that picture there?
Huh?
Explain that picture.
Where's the Purple Heart?
No. Explain that picture.
Explain it?
Yeah. Like who's that general?
Yeah, that's General Mullins giving it to me. Pinning the Silver Star on me.
Does he know those guys next to you?
You know that he was from the other company. I used to know his name. Forgot. This guy here, I remember him. I remember all these people, but you're talking about 60 years ago. And we were all young snots then, you know. Anybody they're over 20, 21 years of age.
All right.
You know. I don't know. Oh, this is one for the Purple Heart, right? I think. Now this is Purple Heart. There's no date on it. April 13th, 1945, it says. Yeah, this is Purple Heart. It says here, Sergeant, Staff Sergeant Carmelo Farfaglia, 32805, Infantry, United States Army. Home address, hey, they got it right, Fulton, New York.
All right.
How about that? Oh. April 13th, I got wounded. April 13th, 1945. How about that?
And that...
13th, ain't a good day, is it?
No, it ain't. And you still have that piece of metal in your leg to
Oh
this
yeah,
day?
still carrying it. That's why I get 10% disability. Oh, there's a story goes with that too. After drawing on it for a couple of years, they called us up to Syracuse to reevaluate people on getting compensation
Right.
from the United States government for services in World War II. So I had to go and see this doctor, bone doctor, whatever he was. And he started asking me questions, and I told him the truth. He says, any pain? No. Does it bother you? No. Have you lost any work? No. Most of my questions to me were no. So he looked up at me, kind of smiled, and he didn't say no more. My check kept on coming. So finally I went up to Syracuse, and at that time, if you're a veteran, you could take an exam up there to see what you were qualified to do, education-wise, whatever. And I had my report from all my records. So I was scanning through them. What does the doctor put down? He lied for me. This patient has periodic pains. Lost some time working.
Oh boy.
What happened, what I believe happened when I seen that he'd been hearing bullshit all day long, bull stories. And here's a guy comes in, tells the truth. And it paid off. He could have just as well cut it off, cut my pension off. He continued because I was honest with him. So that's the story on that one. Honesty paid off.
Yeah.
In that situation.
Okay, so what about when MacArthur finally came back to the
MacArthur, he was... Everybody's seen him but me. He said he was on the island of Luzon, and he went... All he was interested in Manila. He wanted to go to Manila. That day that I got this, was awarded the Silver Star, Sergeant Mahoney, he made the mistake of having a pistol on his hip. Carrying a pistol, 45. So the Japanese, anybody who was carrying a pistol was an officer. So the Japanese, the sniper, up on this hill that we took that following day, that day, shot him, killed him. Uncle Bob's got that holster, that 45 holster.
Right.
Whatever happened to the 45, to this day I don't know. Some reason I got the holster, but I didn't get the 45. I don't know who got the 45. American, 45 pistol. So, there's a story about taking that hill too. They make it sound like it was a big deal, but what it was, we were pinned down, and I was the lead scout at the time. I wasn't even a sergeant. They got me down as being a sergeant. I wasn't even a sergeant at the time. The guy come up, I called the guy over, I says, Munson. I said, take your BAR and put a bead of fire up in there for me. Puts a BAR down, which is a semi-automatic rifle, pulls the trigger, dud. Goddamn thing rusted, couldn't even fire a shot. And the officer kept saying, do something up there, Carm, do something. Well, that's when I got up. His name was Lieutenant Green. So that's when we, how that went about. Then I got up and said, then we got to the top of the hill. By the time I got to the top of the hill, I couldn't pull my bolt back on my rifle. I'd shot 2 bandoliers and all my grenades, dropped them in holes and everything. Got to the top of the hill, There was a place, and my emotion was so high that I cried. The tears were streaming out of my eyes, and I told the lieutenant, "Here's your goddamn hill, take it. Now you can have it." You know? "Oh, now," he said, "quiet down. Quiet down, hell." I was so wrought, so intense. Yeah, I don't give a shit if he was an officer or what he was. I told him what I felt. I didn't quite put it in that kind of language. The language I used was a little bit more rougher. It was Army language.
Right. Now, I got them papers in front of me here that says that President Roosevelt died on April 12, 1945. And I guess you were wounded, according to that paper, like the 13th.
Yep.
So, how did you feel, like, when you heard that President Roosevelt died? What was going through your mind then, as well as anybody around you?
You keep forgetting we're only 20 years old, 19, 20, we don't give a shit. You know? I mean,
yeah, but I thought that since he was president 12 years, he became like an American father figure to everybody.
the only thing that they were picking on Eleanor in the service all the time. Some reason other people didn't like Eleanor, but he kept winning elections back here.
And you probably didn't even know who Harry Truman was.
Huh?
You probably didn't even know who Harry Truman was when he became
never
president.
heard of him.
Right.
Never heard of him. They remember we had another battle after that. We had to go up the Spanish Trail.
Okay.
To clean out some stragglers up there. It was a short campaign. We went up in there, cleaned them right out in no time at all. They shot some artillery shells at us, but didn't amount to nothing. Oh, that one incident there that I think of quite a bit now. Nice, young, strapping young man. We attacked the second platoon went into attack into a position. I was platoon sergeant at the time, and I was behind him. All of a sudden, this guy come back. I says, "Where are you going?" "Oh," he said, "I got a little scratch on my eye here. I'm going back to first aid." "You're all right. Go on back up there." He went back up there and he got killed. And I never forgot that. Poor guy. And that's one of the memories that I have on that incident. Another one was we had a banzai attack one night, and this guy from Syracuse, his name was Biganowski. Banowski? It was a Polish name anyway.
27.
He got us all in position. He was a Guadalcanal veteran too. And he turned around to come back. After he put everybody in position, he got shot in the back. A Japanese sniper got him. I was always going to see that family in Syracuse and tell them about it, but I never did. Never did. Never went up to see his family. But he was from Syracuse. And it was a Polish name. And I never looked up the family. I don't know. I guess that's about it.
The Battle of the Philippines was now over, I take it.
Well, the Battle of the Philippines was over shortly after that. Because they were actually, you know, he declared the Philippines safe a couple days after we were there. But the battle went on for another 160 days. In other words, there was no way for them, for the Japanese, to drive us off in there. And once we took Manila, that was it. Well, I went down there for R&R, for rest once. Went to Manila. But it was a destroyed city. Destroyed, you know. There's pictures of that somewhere, of that city being destroyed.
Okay, now when you heard of victory in Europe, like in May of 1945, did you feel that you were now going to get more help in the Pacific and that the Pacific War was going to end soon?
Never thought of it.
Never thought of it?
The only thing I know is, a guy come up to me, I don't know where he's got his information. He says, "Carm, we got a secret weapon."
Before we get to that, okay, on May 25th, 1945, U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff approved Operation Olympic. the invasion of Japan scheduled for November 1st
Right,
of that year.
that's right. That's right. We were going to be one of the assault divisions.
You were going to invade the island of Japan.
That's right. They used the invasion plan for occupation. All they do is, instead of for invasion, they convert it to occupation. We were supposed to go in Nagoya.
Now, you said before that whenever there were fights with Japanese soldiers, there were always a lot of casualties. Casualty rates were extremely high.
Where and what?
All over the Pacific. Like you mentioned, like on some island before, about how 1 million casualties on one island alone, and you thought that like millions of Americans were going to die if they invaded the island of Japan.
Oh yeah, we figured. But the reason I say that is because when we got there for occupation, the job of our company was to go up in the mountains and to destroy the weapons up there that were aimed at the beach. And you wouldn't believe the weapons they had up there. And that's where I got scared myself. The guy was shooting a machine gun. He was shooting up all this excess shells of bullets and stuff they had around there. In other words, getting rid of the arsenal. I said, give me that machine gun. So I sat down and I started firing that machine gun myself, playing around. The barrel exploded. I said, the hell with you guys, I'm going home. I don't want no more of this stuff. So that was the end of my fooling around with Japanese equipment. But I can remember that goddamn machine gun exploding. It could just well, get me, but it didn't. That was a close shave there. In Japan, all we did was train for riot duty.
Train for what?
Riot duty.
Riot duty, okay. All right, what time here? We're going. When did you first hear about Japanese Americans being interned in camps out on the West Coast?
Never heard of it.
Not during the war?
Wasn't even aware of it. He wasn't even aware of anything, even stuff in the Swiggle. But, 18, 19-year-old, it was a different time. Communications, I mean, today you turn on the tube there and you can find out what's going on all over the world.
Right.
Not them days. Newspapers were extra. Anything happened, boys would go to pick up the papers and go downtown and holler, extra, extra, and sell newspapers and tell people what's going on. You get a little bit of it on the radio, but the papers were still a big thing in them days. Newspapers.
What did the soldier tell you about the secret weapon?
I poo-pooed it. What the hell are you talking about? What do you know about any secret weapon? Tell you, Carm, the secret weapon. This war is going to be over. I said, where are you getting your information from? What are you talking about? Trust me, he says. This war is over. I'm sure as shit. No time at all. Truman gave the orders and they dropped that atomic bomb. And right after that, they surrendered. Shortly after that. And that's when we went in for occupation. We used the invasion. MacArthur wanted to invade Japan, His heart was set on it.
And Harry Truman took that away from him.
That's right. He sure did. And he kicked him out as a commanding officer too. He thought he was God Almighty.
That was like 7 years later when he was in Korea.
Yep.
So to this day, you still feel that atomic bomb saved your life?
Oh yeah. Oh, no question about it. I wouldn't be here today. No way there was. The casualties on that beach, they figured over 1 million casualties. I don't know how many deaths, but it'd be worse than Normandy. It'd be worse than Normandy. Because then they were defending their homeland. Then they really sacrificed. If you couldn't get them out of the hole in those stupid islands, which didn't amount to nothing, how the hell you going to get them out of their homeland? Oh, they were ready. They anticipated we were going to invade. We owned the whole Pacific. That's the reason we took Okinawa as a staging area. And we had all trained divisions too. Had a hell of an army in the Pacific. Then they were figuring on getting some help from Europe too, I guess, because Europe was over with it. In fact, the old outfit that I was with, that I trained with, the 87th Black Hawk Division down in Texas, they diverted them from Europe and sent them to Japan or the Philippines, because they were going to use them as an
invasion force?
For an invasion, right. When I came home, and those that had so many points, they let them stay at home and then ship them out, and they put all new recruits in them. And I had enough points to come home right away.
So did you write to your family at all when you were in the war?
You know, most of my thing was right. I wrote one letter once telling them how long it took me to get to the New Caledonia, and what kind of life I was having there, and so on and so forth. And they censored it.
They censored
All
it?
mail was censored. An officer had to read it. He come over to me and says it's not acceptable. You know, then all I said was, "I'm doing okay. I'll see you when I get home." That's all I said.
Did you get any mail?
Everything is all right.
Did you get any mail from them?
Yeah, they used to would get what they call email. It was, how in the hell did they do that? Very simple. It was on very flimsy paper.
Like Western Union?
No. It's called email in them days. It was very lightweight. It cut down the amount of weight for in shipment. I don't remember exactly what it was all about.
Okay. Tell me about the fire that saved your life.
Oh! Yeah, that night. Actually, it's funny there, but it was a serious night because this sergeant I told you that got killed on the hill that I got the medal on,
Right.
he killed his best friend. We took over this, we dug in for the night on these hills. So his buddy, which was a platoon sergeant on heavy weapons, got out of his hole to make sure everybody was in position. So his friend up here, sitting up here, seen him crawling along the ground. And he thought it was a Japanese. Killed him, shot him, part of that, killed him. That same night, I was in the hole with the guy, I still remember him, Sergeant Saldana, from TX's. Had the runs. Because the way I cleaned my spoon was to wipe it off with my mouth and stick it in my backpack after eating my beans and stuff. And the only things I could eat was the beans and frankfurters, or whatever you would call them, hot dogs. That was my main meal in the service. When I got out of the hole, he wouldn't let me stay in the hole, so I got out of the hole and I expelled some gas. And the guy told me the next morning if I hadn't expelled gas, what I did, because he had a bead on me, he would have shot me.
He recognized the sound
He
of it.
recognized it was one of us. Otherwise, that's why I say, when anything that moved at night was the enemy. And sometimes it was not. It was our own men. We proved that.
Right.
But you're hyper. You're anxious. You're on a state of alert all the time. And sometimes it affects your senses, your common sense, because there's fear. You're hyper. You're on an alert. You know. Like one night I was there. It was raining. It was cold, hungry, soaking wet. I swear there was somebody up there calling me by name. You know, And so I took my rifle and just started firing. I don't think there was anybody out there, right up here. But after I fired, I felt better.
Well, that's good. Now, you told me before about how soldiers were marching past you, about some ceremony where they had to recognize all the things that you accomplished. I don't know what the event was called, but like towards the end of the war, soldiers march.
Oh, well, that's when we got the Silver Star. Well, all these guys you see here, we all stood up by the general, and they had the bands playing,
Mm-hmm.
and they had the division marching, and these soldiers would parade in front of us. And what they do was, when they got almost in line with us, the officer would give them eyes right, and they would all turn and look at us as they're going by, as a salute. And it's very uplifting to see all these people marching by, and eyes right. It's funny the way it goes. They'd be waving like this, the line, but the minute they give them eyes right, they straighten right up and look right at you. And the band playing, you know, with all this music and stuff, military music. And I always said after that, I could see why generals and colonels wanted parades. It's good for your ego.
Yeah.
It's an ego builder. Yeah, that was quite a thing.
Was it at that point that you then felt like an American?
I don't know when I did. I think when I came home, I thought about it. I thought I was more American, that I had earned the right to be an American, to be a right to be in this country. Of course, Jim Marino lost a leg over there in Italy, and he ended up quite high. He was the first sergeant too, but he always had a different attitude than I did.
Was your first vote for Harry Truman? First time you ever voted?
You know, I can't remember who I voted for, the first one I voted for. I don't remember voting for Harry Truman.
Stevenson?
Good question. You know, I don't think I was even interested for years. It took a while. It took a while because I had a family. My primary interest was in take care of my family, working, trying to get ahead, trying to get a couple of bucks. Politically, I don't think I ever paid any attention.
So when you got home.
When I did, I can't remember when it was.
So when you got home, how did you fly home?
Oh no!
Off the when you got home from World War II?
No, that's another thing. When I left Japan, I was on a troop ship. They didn't have enough officers to fill up the officer quarters, so they put staff sergeants and sergeants in the officers' quarters. So every time I felt woozy, I could go in and lay down. So I never vomited or got sick. And there, crossing the interstate, I had 2 Christmases. We crossed the international date line. Christmases or 2 New Years, one or the other. I forgot which one it was. But we crossed the international date line on that ship. And we landed in Tacoma, Washington. I had pictures of that, but I don't know where they went. First thing I did there was go to a restaurant and order an oyster dinner.
A what dinner?
Oyster. And they brought out an oyster you wouldn't believe. Apparently they knew we were combat soldiers. They couldn't do enough for us. That was in Tacoma. Then I got on a...
10 minutes?
I got on a train, went to Camp Atterbury, Indiana. They asked me if I lived in Western New York or Eastern New York. They never said Central. So I told them Western. So they stopped me in Camp Atterbury, Indiana. As we're going through the line there, there's another guy done me a favor. He says, you want to file a claim for that piece of shrapnel you got in your leg? I said, no. He said, well, cost you nothing. Why not file it? I don't want to, you know, I want to go home. He says, let me file this for you. I said, if that's what you want to do, go ahead, file it. So he filed it for me. So I got $10 a month back then. 11?
10, 11, it kept going up on each
Yeah,
year.
it's 10 or 11 bucks back in the 46, 47.
What's it now, 100?
Huh?
What's it now, 100?
Yeah, $99.
Imagine that.
60 years up to $99. So he done me a favor there. Then I told you about this doctor up there that I told the truth to. So he was good to me. So I draw that all my life. They haven't questioned me since. They did take x-rays that day to prove that I had the shrapnel in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the end of it. And from then on, they always send me a check every month.
And Danny, we couldn't wait till we got that stupid $11 check.
Things were tough in them days.
So what was it like when you finally stepped foot back in Fulton? Did the town seem different to you, or?
No, I don't think it made any impression on me at all. I was just glad to be home, in a way.
I mean, did you get a good reception? I mean, did people, like, read about you in the paper and then pat you on the back out in the street and stuff?
Not until he came to Oswego. That's the mistake he made.
That's when he came to Oswego.
That's when he met me.
Ah.
No, there was no parade or nothing or anything like that. I mean, you were accepted and come home. And one of the things they insisted on that you go down to Oswego and register your discharge papers. So I got a record down at Oswego of my discharge papers. That was a service they provided. Oh, I went to get my hunting license. They wanted to teach me how to use a gun.
Oh, boy.
Please. Oh, and I wrote to Albany and told them I was in the service, that I would like to have my license back, and they sent me my license.
Your driver's license?
Driver's license. It cost me nothing. I didn't have to take my test over.
Oh,
They sent
good.
me my driver's license. My father said that they income tax people got a hold of him and sent him a letter and told him that I owed some taxes. My father says, if you want the taxes, go over to the Philippines and get it. So that was the end of that. That about covers everything, Dan. I don't know what else.
Okay.
I tried, I hope I conveyed the feeling of combat. It's a hard thing to do. I tried to, I mulled it over in my mind 2 or 3 times. How can I explain this and have you get a sense of what it's all about? It ain't easy.
Yeah.
Because you didn't experience it. I'm trying to give you an experience that you didn't experience. It's, but a lot of people come home and would not talk about it. I always talked about it. I always felt that it was good for me to talk about it. Unconsciously, I think it was good therapy. Instead of keeping it all inside, if somebody would ask me something, I would talk about it. In fact, I tried to get my cousin Jimmy Marino, and him and I get together and write a story about our experiences in the service. He poo-pooed it. He wouldn't do it. He didn't like the idea at all. Oh, he said there'd be millions of books like that. I said, but a couple of Italian boys, you went to Italy and lost a leg. I went to Philippines, got shot. And I says, we had experience over there. You had experience. And give it from a perspective of an immigrant son, you know, in that area, to give a different perspective.
You still can?
Wouldn't do it. I didn't, what is this?
Why don't you write one yourself?
Huh?
Why don't you write one yourself?
It's hard to tell stories like that. Some people have a knack of telling, explain how you feel as a young Italian boy. You know, like I've just told you, spent 2 years, a year or so in kindergarten and not being able to speak English. And English has always been my toughest subject all the way through school and stuff like that. They give you a sense of the area, that era or that time of life.
He never wanted to be a warder when he died.
No, he wouldn't even use military service.
Nope.
I went to his son. I says, where's the military? I says, if anybody deserves it, your father does. He looked at me and he says, he is being buried according to instructions.
You didn't
His
want
father
one?
deserved military services because he gave a leg and he done his duty. And he deserved a military funeral. But I see they don't give military funerals anymore. I don't think the VFW does it anymore. I don't think they got a firing squad anymore.
I did see one a couple of years ago.
They went out a couple of years ago, right?
Well, the local VFW conducted it themselves.
No, they did it for years now. Last I knew, they don't do it anymore.
Well, this was like 3 years ago. So maybe they've changed since then.
I'm a lifetime member of VFW, but I don't have no contact with the people down there, so I don't know.
When he was over in Italy, didn't his aunt come out on the streets and holler, Jimmy, Jimmy?
Oh, I didn't tell him that story, did I? When the American troops invaded Sicily, my grandmother would go out in the street as these soldiers were marching by, and she would holler the name Farfaglia, Marino, to see if she'd get any response. She was looking for her grandchildren. So you people don't know how fortunate you are to know your grandparents.
Did Jimmy meet his grandmother?
Yeah, it would be, yes, because his mother was my father's sister.
Right.
So yes, it'd be his grandmother.
But she was looking for him as he was marching through. She'd holler, Marino Farfaglia, Marino Farfaglia, you know.
So I never knew my grandfather. The only thing I can remember about my grandfather, my father wore a black band on his suit. My grandfather died. There's no picture of my grandfather or grandmother in any place that I know of. And I think about that every once in a while. There's part of my life that I never experienced. It's gone. You guys are fortunate. You know who your grandparents are. You've had contact with them. You know? So that's what happens when you go immigrant from one country to another. But they gave us a better life.
Yeah.
But you had to give up something for that better life.
We're almost out of time here. Is there any?
My father got by, did halfway decent. He owned material things. I've done better than him. Your father's doing better than me. You know, and you're probably going to do better than your father.
I hope so. I hope so. Okay, we're almost out of time here. Is there anything else you want to add or say?
No, I just keep harping back to I hope I conveyed some sense of what it feels like to be in combat. I don't know if I did or not. That was my purpose.
Yeah, you did.
To try to give you some sense of what emotions and feelings that go through your whole body when you're in when you're in combat situations, where guns are going off, firing, artillery shells, whistling over your head, and, you know, all this other stuff that goes with it. And how you hit. I can tell you what an impression it makes on you. When I got hit here, my leg, I walked back after battalion. I walked down to another place I don't know where I was going there for. To go down and see the doctor. Artillery shells went off. I literally hit the ground right there. Even though the combat was way away from me. But the minute I heard those artillery shells, bang! I was laying on the ground. But it was our own firing too. Now see what it does to you?
Yeah.
You know? And when we went to Spanish Trail, went up there, the artillery, if I was scared of anything, it was artillery. I don't know why. It scared the hell out of me. If I heard artillery shells, you wouldn't see me dig. To get that thing up, I'd dig a hole and get down in there fast as you could. This is as fast as I could. I tried to put,
Okay.
get an idea.
One last thing I want to ask you about.
Okay.
That picture up there. Where was that taken?
That was taken in Fulton when I came home on leave from Texas. Right after I finished basic training,
Mm-hmm.
they let us come home, give us a 2-week leave or 3-week leave.
Right.
And they had a studio downtown by, which is Goldberg's right now. There used to be a studio right next door to it. And I had my picture taken there, and my mother took it and had it enlarged. My parents done that.
Okay, time's up.
Time's up. Okay.
Tie up here with some loose ends.
Okay.
Combat infantry badge. $10 more a month.
Okay.
You have to earn this.
Have to earn that. Okay.
Okay. There's the insignia from the division. Guava leaf with a streak of lightning through it. Technical sergeant. 3 stripes up, 2 down. 3 years of service. 27th Regiment insignia, Wolfhound. The story on that is the regiment was in Russia, and they walked 25 or 27 miles overnight to attack the enemy, and the Russians gave them the name of Wolfhound. They moved like a wolf. So they always carry that. These are campaign stars, Philippines, whatever. The Spanish Trail, so on and so forth. That's the ribbon there. I believe that's a Silver Star. Good question. I don't know, one of these is good conduct. And, oh, Purple Heart, that one is Purple Heart. I don't know what this one is. Can't remember. No, I think we covered up all the loose ends.
Okay. Sounds good.
But I don't know what the hell these things here was. That's a VFW insignia. Gotta be. There's nothing in this one.
One other thing. The sword that's in my dad's gun cabinet right now.
Oh, that sword?
Yeah.
Ain't got time for it, Danny.
Where did I pick that up? In the Philippines someplace, or Japan? Right.
Japanese told me.
I want to be honest. I think that when we took over that airfield, did I get that in Japan? You know, I can't be honest with you. I don't know where I got it. I'm not sure I got it in Japan, and I'm not sure I got it in the Philippines. Oh,
Did you get it off of a dead Japanese soldier or an officer?
no, I didn't take it off anybody. In one cave I walked into, we was out and search and destroy. I seen this little funnel sticking out of the ground. We dropped a smoke grenade down in there, and out come this Japanese soldier. And he fired, his rifle was coming out, so they filled him full of lead. Another cave I went into, walked in, and I reached up. I was going to grab the pistol I don't know if I remember the pistol, but when I reached my hand up there to take that pistol, I heard the tonk tonk, and what that meant was the Japanese. That's how they set the primer off on the grenades, and I immediately ran out. And so when we ran out, then we threw grenades in there and everything, and killed anything that was in that cave. That's a loose end. We took care of that too.
Yes, we did.
And why don't I remember where I got that? I got a Japanese flag. Oh, one day I took the Japanese flag that I took it off a body or something. I don't know where I got it. I washed it, hung it up in a tree. All of a sudden I was sitting there watching it, waiting for it to dry, and this airplane came down, zooming. It was one of our own. And all of a sudden it occurred to me that he thought maybe it was a Japanese camp or something, so I went up and pulled it down. I just got rid of it this year or last year. I took it to the dump and got it burnt.
Why?
Because Japan's our friend now. They're not our enemy any longer, and it does not serve any useful purpose. They have that Japanese flag, so I got rid of it.
Okay.
The same as I gave your father the sword, and I gave Uncle Bob the pistol. Okay.
Okay.
Good enough?
Good enough.
Okay.